Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. We haven't done one of these in 3 months. This is the Bronze Age price update and I'm excited to see what the market has done over the past 3 months. So these are the 5 books we're looking at. Amazing Spider-Man 129, first appearance of the Punisher, Giant Size X-Men #1, first appearance of the new team, Marvel Spotlight #5, first Johnny Blaze as Ghost Rider, the King of the Bronze Age, Incredible Hulk 181, of course, first appearance of Wolverine, first full appearance. And then we mix it up a little bit. About 6 months ago, I decided to add in a little Bronze Age horror. So we added House of Secrets 92. And I did that because I wanted to see how the superhero and horror genres interact, all right? Okay, well, let's get into it. Here's how we do it. I use GPA data, all universal sales data. That means blue labels. So blue labels only. Sales from, my gosh, we're almost in 6 full years of data here, 2020 through October of 2025. And in order to figure out what grades to include, it's got to have at least one sale in 2020 and at least one sale in September or October of 2025. We want to keep the data recent so that it's relative to the discussion of what's really happening in the hobby. All right, first book up, Amazing Spider-Man 129. So you can see this book ended off in July. Yeah, I haven't done this since the end of July, right? So we've got August, September, and October data points to look at here. So it was just over a $2,900 book. Let's see how those 3 months did. August came in, and it was down a little bit. September up a little bit, and October down a little bit. So the book dropped very slightly by about $60. So down 2%. So again, a small decrease, but when you look at what's happened with this book over the past year, look, it's flat. So the first appearance of Punisher, strong. I would say this is pretty strong for a book, and not to hint at what's coming next, but not all books are faring this well. And you know, I always like to do this, right? Because averages can be misleading. So we look at all the individual grades, all right? So these are all the grades that sold. 9.8. 0% change, right? It stayed even with the previous sales. So then when you look at everything else, kind of a split. Half green, half red. That kind of equates to a 2% change, right? In the downward direction, but could have very easily been in the upward direction as well. So I think the average is in line with the split in the grades here and what's going up and down. All right. So again, right? ASM 129 holding its own. Next book, Giant Size X-Men #1. We ended in July, just under a $4,600 book. Look at this huge correction. My goodness. I know a lot of books look like this, but every time I see it, Giant Size X-Men #1 just almost went off the charts, literally off the charts, almost. All right, so July, $45.92 was the average. What happened in August? Big downward tick. September up a little bit, October down a little bit. So overall, this book is down over $300 or 7% on average. So not good for Giant Size X-Men #1. Still a huge key, but it continues to go down here. And when you look at the grades, it is right in line with that 7%, right? Because you had a little bit of green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are green, but then 10 or 11 that went down, and not by small amounts, pretty decent amount. So yeah, so I think everything lines up here. Giant Size X-Men #1 is still in a correction phase for sure. Still a great key, but going down. So be careful. Be careful of how much money you spend on these books right now. At least this one. All right, next one, Marvel Spotlight #5, first appearance of Johnny Blaze as Ghost Rider. Yeah, this book, huge corrections, and from the looks of it, where we ended in July, like there was no end in sight. So let's see if the next 3 months continue down that path or we're starting to see a change. Let's find out. So July, 1688 on average. August came in a little bit down. September, a little bit down. October, up a bit. So this book actually jumps up a whopping $6 on average, or 1%. So very, very modest increase. But when you look at the grades, it tells a completely different story. So here you go. So you see almost a sea of red here with the exception of 3 grades. But when you look at those 3 grades, the 9.0, the 7.0, and the 5.5, they're all very significant increases. And that 9.0 increasing by 24% really drives the average. And then everything else went down. Okay? So this is why it's good to not only show an average, but to show the individual grades, because you really need to see both to tell the story. So average price goes up, but in general, most grades, a large majority of the grades are still decreasing on this book. All right, that is Johnny Blaze. Let's move on to the King of the Bronze Age, Incredible Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine. I always find this chart interesting because when you look at the craziness from 2020 to 2022, essentially, through the end of that year, a lot of volatility, a lot of ups and downs. And then after the correction started, especially within the last year to year and a half, look at how small the changes are. And I think it's a combination of not only the prices being closer together, but also just more books selling every single month, right? More books are being graded, more are selling, especially Incredible Hulk 181, right? Everybody is getting this book graded, and there are a lot of them. The census has really increased over the past few years. So that really helps the data stay closer together as well. Okay, end of July, this book was just under a $9,000 book. Let's see what happened in August. Down a little bit. September, a big downward turn, and then October, a slight downward point as well. So overall, this book drops almost $1,000 on average, so down 11%. And when you look at the grades, yeah, you had 4 going the right direction, but 11 grades going down in price. So this lines up as well. I think this shares the same fate as some of the other books that we've seen here, right? Just more and more books getting graded. The availability of them is increasing every single week. It's tough for people to say that they're okay spending the same amount that they saw on the previous sale because they know there's going to be another one and another one and another one every single week, right? They're going to have a chance at getting another book, most likely in the same grade or a better grade. So people are waiting, they're being patient, and they're waiting for deals. That's what all this means. And when you wait for deals, prices are lower than the previous sale. And that's why you see this trend continuing to go down, okay? So again, first appearance of Wolverine, still correcting, still on the downward trend. All right, last but not least, House of Secrets 92. So again, I added this one maybe 6 months ago or so, just because I wanted to mix up the genres a little bit. So I added in a little Bronze Age horror. It's kind of a mix, right? This is also kind of a superhero book as well. Swamp Thing is kind of known as that, but also Bronze Age horror. The trend of this book, a lot different than what you see in the superhero books, right? Still a correction, but ever so slightly, right? Taking a very long time to correct. And in fact, the past 6 to 8 months, the trend is going up. So let's see if that continued. July, just over a $1,500 book. What happened in August? Up a lot. September, down quite a bit. And then October, down a little bit as well. So this book essentially stayed the same, an increase of $8, 1% increase. And when you look at the grades, kind of split, a little bit more green than red. So I think this is appropriate. And House Secrets 92 is staying pretty strong and arguably still on an upward trend over the year here. All right, and then we look at Bronze Age total. Okay, I don't go through the whole add each month here at the end. So here's Bronze Age total. When you just look over on the right-hand side, when you add all 5 of these books together, the average price dropped almost $300 or down 7% since July. So overall, Bronze Age still correcting, at least with these 5 books. And when we summarize it all, you look at all the grades that went up and went down. We had 26 total that went up, 41 that went down. And the only outlier here that didn't follow the percentage increase was Marvel Spotlight #1, because the average went up by 1%, yet a large majority of the grades were down. And those 3 that went up really drove the price because they were big increases. Okay, that is it, guys. I know I've been saying I want to add more books to this, but I'm going to switch it up And what you're going to see coming in the future is we're going to add more superhero books, and we're going to have a Bronze Age price analysis with more just superhero books. And I'm going to add another analysis for Bronze Age horror. So we're going to take House of Secrets and we're going to put it into a price update with a bunch of other key Bronze Age horror books that you're all familiar with. I'm excited to do that one, and we're going to continue growing it that way so we can kind of separate the genres and look at them individually, okay? Because clearly House of Secrets is doing something different than all the superhero books that we looked at here. All right, so hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your comments, what you think, and hope everyone is excited for the Thanksgiving holiday season here. I know I am, and we are here at our house. So until next time, have a great day.